So I was out a little while ago and I was nearly blown out my camp. I had a tarp and I had my hammock set, and the wind was blowing in through the head end, through my tarp, into the hammock. I couldn't pitch a tarp. If only there was something to block the end of the tarp up from the wind. Now, other people have said, why don't you just turn the tarp around so it's blowing the other way? Well done, smart arse, but for that I would need a tree just there and just there to turn it. So you don't always get the trees where you want them. So no, you can't just turn the tarp the other way unless there are trees there to pitch for your hammock. Now, I always carry a poncho as a rain cover anyway for myself instead of a waterproof jacket. I used to use waterproof jackets, find ponchos breathe a bit better. I don't get sweaty. I can use it as a ground cloth, as a bash, and now as a seal for the door. But surely, can't you just close the doors on any tarp? Sort of, but not brilliantly. I could close them into a plough point like that, but for that it needs to be pitched quite high to be pitched where the doors are pointed like a plough, and that's not great because pitching it high in the wind means I've got the wind coming underneath. I want to sling it low. The only way you're going to fold the doors over like this and cross them is to have a pitch that is like this, quite a sheer, steep pitch. And again, you've got the wind now blowing on the sheer side of your tarp. And I don't want the wind blowing on the sheer side of my tarp. So what you do is you sling it lower and wider so the wind is coming over. However, slinging it low and wide, the doors now don't close. It leaves a gap. So I have a poncho that I wear, and hopefully I bought some cord, otherwise this isn't going to work. A basher. This one is just one of them cheap little DD 3x3s. Got some tent stakes and hopefully the lines to set it all up with. And I'll show you how I'm going to close off this door. I just want to make sure I have everything I need. I have some tent stakes here. These are just some hammock straps, which won't be needed today. I only need the tarp. I have the tarp and a load of mud as well. I just want to make sure I have all the accoutrements I need. This is a prototype idea, so I'm going to change out to proper stretch cord when this is a finished article, and the right amount of cord and maybe some carabiners, so you're at the prototype stage of this. So let me get the tarp up. I'll put a couple of pegs out in it and we'll have a look at hopefully the fix. So the tarp is relatively low. It's been pitched somewhere even below neck level, but I can sling a hammock low to the ground. Now, I have closed some doors here, but they don't meet in the middle because it's splayed so wide apart. Had it have been higher off the ground and not so wide, I could probably fold over doors, but having it higher to accommodate closed doors, I've got a more sheer pitch and the wind is going to hit against the side. This gap on the doors is almost enough to cripple your camp if you get the wind blowing through into here and then under your hammock, chilling you right down. Now, obviously this is not a new idea, putting a poncho for doors. However, the videos that I've seen are few and far between, or don't really show you in detail what to do to counter the problem. So hopefully this will. On the middle of the ridge line here, that's where some cord needs to go. Now you will need to experiment with the length of cord you're going to put to your center loop. Mine is a pretty short cord. Perhaps it doesn't need to be very long. This will probably adapt very nicely to a carabiner or even stretch cord. I'm only showing you the prototype. Now we're going to put the poncho onto the ridge line that has the opening. So that is the side we need. Now most ponchos will differ where the grommet placements are and what have you, but most will have corner grommets or corner tie outs. So that's all you need. Now the position of how we're going to do this is the hood. The hood is what is going to be placed onto the actual ridge line. Now I'm going to use the actual cinch toddle of the hood to just put into the ridge line loop here of my tarp. And once that is through, I can use this toddle here to cinch and bring the poncho higher or lower, and the two corners I've placed straight to the middle. Now the sides just wrap around, and rather than pegging them in, I may just opt for a stretch cord in the end, but this is only the start of a prototype idea. So in development, it's at this stage. When I get home, I'll swap out for other cordage and even stretch cord, and then I'll need a couple of last pegs. So these are in fact the two corners of the poncho, and I'm just going to click in here. I've already started with some stretch cord, and the other half is just on a mitten hook. Now from a top view you can see how the poncho actually sits either side of the tarp like this on the ridge. So the ridge is exposed, it comes down like that. I have a gap here at the top where the hammock can be fed inside. I do have some stretch cord on this side, and hopefully I can just peg it onto an existing loop like that. So I would really go for a tarp that says it has doors, because the way it's manufactured and cut, the template is different. Now I have a couple of extra pegs. I'm going to peg it out so it does cover both sides, so I can unfasten the elastic, and for now I'll just peg this out. So it's pegged out instead of being stretched to this centre, and that's the centre of the tarp. I would need quite a long loop of elastic, but it might be worth doing. So instead it's just pegged out between the front there and here. The first part of the tarp setup required me to leave the two ends of the tarp, and don't peg them out, the two very ends left and right. What you want for that is not to peg them in, and instead bring them inside like you're folding over doors. So just don't peg out, say, the head end left and right. Don't peg them out. It will leave a slit on the front, and this is what we're curing. With this I should be able to put a peg in. Eventually it'll all be elasticated, and we'll put the poncho over the left hand side. As I'm looking at it, we've just been doing the right hand side, and it should cover everything. Peg it. As you can see, this is the head end, This is the centre, but let's have a look how much it's covered. It leaves this hood. Now this hood needs to go up to that ridge line so it doesn't fall down, and what I use is the actual toddle itself. So here's the toddle from the hood that keeps it toddled, and I'm putting that up to the webbing of the tarp. Now, not only have I put the toddle for the poncho through the actual webbing here of the tarp, but I can use the cinch to hold it in place. Now the poncho is not going to fall down when I don't want it to, but it will still leave this gap at the top where the hammock strap is going in here. Anyway, I need to deassemble it, but let's see how much that will protect against the wind. I just need to lower it a little and then I'm totally windproof there. So yeah, it does need to be elasticated in my opinion on the sides. So this here can be brought a lot lower and elasticated with quite a long loop so I can get it over that centre. So with a tarp, the way around we want this is so the hood, when we hold it, is in the middle, on the left. So you can see this hood is actually on the left. It could be the right, but I want to show you it needs to be on the side. From there I can bring up the two corner grommets on the poncho and bring it up to maybe a clip or a beaner. At the moment I've just got a bit of cord to the centre of the tarp. Then the two corners of that poncho bring together, and you need to bring it up to the centre point of the tarp. A mitten hook on one side and a bit of stretch cord, and I have the centre loop here, and with enough stretch I can clip into a loop of cord that comes off the middle of the ridge line. After that, it's just a case of wrapping the other two corners of your poncho around that gap on your tarp and staking it to the ground. I have some elastic, but it's not long enough. I need to wrap it around the front of this peg here and then bring it to this point here. Quickly do the other side. But now I need to deassemble everything, and the poncho can be put back on if it rains, and I've always got a poncho in my pack anyway, and it's that small and light and compact I can afford to have it go alongside my polyester tarp. Alternatively, of course, instead of having a splayed pitch on your tarp, you can have a sheer pitch, bring it higher and then fold over the doors so they meet. But the trouble with that, like I said, it's very sheer, and in sheer conditions the wind is pushing on the sheer side of your tarp. You want it low to the ground, splayed as wide as you can, but of course when you try and fold the doors over, it leaves that gap. That's the only gap that needs to be filled, and I've done it with the poncho. Anyway, I hope I've tried to explain that as best I can. It is difficult to explain, but if you don't understand, just re-watch the video, and if I have to, I'll put some kind of instruction manual in the description box. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay wind free. Until next time, happy trails.